Stage is set. This is why you canceled all of your meetings today, because the final is set here for the Hurley Pro.
I'm just really enjoying this event. I'm having a lot of fun and trying to wait to get those bombs where I can really open up and just kind of let it loose. I think now's the time, in the final, to be up in the final with them, they're the best surfers in the world right now. Yeah, I just want to bring my A game and I want to put on a good show and hopefully come out with a win.
The waves, they're pretty hard to surf right now and it's kind of slow, but I'm just going to go out there and do the best I can.
It's finals time here at the Hurley Pro as we check the stage here at San Clemente, California. It's Jordy Smith, the South African, versus John Florence. They'll have a 35-minute battle scored on their top two waves, two of the most progressive and powerful surfers on the planet, going for one prize of $100,000 and 10,000 points on the world title race. Joe Turpel alongside a former world champ, Martin Potter. We've been waiting for this breakthrough moment for both these guys to final here at Lowers, as we already saw John step on a wave here.
Yeah, John quick in and out there. Just wants to get the ball rolling. He just wants to catch a lot of waves, and that's kind of what he's going to do. He's not going to sit around and wait. There's been big lulls in between, but watching that Steph Gilmore heat, these guys are fired up. There's still some good waves out there, so it's going to come down to basically who gets them.
Big opportunity for Florence, just 21 years of age, just a little bit younger than Jordy Smith, who's 26, representing Durban, South Africa, 6'3", 190 pounds. One of the biggest, most powerful surfers on the planet. Is always so dangerous and a favorite at venues where you can perform on a long, dramatic right-hander. We can see a little wave popping up here, Potts.
Yeah, Jordy with priority, so he's going to have to make the decision. John's going to keep an eye on those left-handers. We saw him kind of looking that way during the semi-final against Kelly. He didn't really capitalize on that, so it's going to be something that he's going to keep an eye on, maybe split the peak with Jordy. If it comes down to him needing a wave, we're going to see him use that left.
We'll get a glide in now for Jordy Smith. His first wave of the final comes around the corner. Big carve with the tail release. Deep bottom turn, layback carve combo. Now a big tail drifting finish in the closeout for Jordy Smith. And now John wants to answer quickly, heading that same direction on his forehand. Bottom turns, high line carve, all setup work, and he's over it. He kicks out. Jordy taking the lead with some big hooks, and the crowd loved it, Potts.
The crowd absolutely loved it. This is what they came to see. They came to see two of the most innovative surfers in the world light it up here at Lower Trestles. And Jordy made his intentions very clear what he was going to do. Look at this wave, beautiful clean face. Jordy generally starts off quite slow, but right here you can see he's just tagged that first turn. He's surfing this wave really well, getting himself right in the pocket, and right there just capitalizes on that good work with something very special at the end. And that's what he's going to have to do, Joe. He's going to have to really light it up. Look at that power that he puts into his turns. One of the biggest guys on tour, and there we can see one of the most powerful as well. This maneuver right here, this innovation, this is what the judges want to see. The combination of radical maneuvers, board out the back of the wave there. Jordy just throwing caution to the wind and comes out on his feet. So that is going to be a good score and put John on order to have to produce something good.
Well, such a massive way to open up when you think about Jordy's role this season. Hasn't made a final since 2013 when he beat Adriano de Souza at Barra da Tijuca. Now getting that winning feeling again and still saving his best surfing. He's looking to peak in the final just like Gilmore did, who just took out the Swatch Women's Pro.
Well, I guarantee you both the guys were watching that final very closely. What waves to catch, what the tide's doing, where Steph was sitting, what waves she was catching, and even down to what she was doing on those waves to get the scores.
As we now think Jordy Smith, with those combinations, he's one of the most powerful guys on tour, maybe the most powerful. He has big surfboards that nobody else could ride, but he can really lay it down on a rail. What about his variety, Potts?
Yeah, he's got great variety, as we see John up and riding.
John will fade the takeoff and now set up his first hook. Clean, finesse hook off the top, another wave going flat. So he will kick out, and priority will be with Jordy Smith for the next opportunity.
You know, they're still waiting to lock in Jordy's wave, and it's going to be a big score, that's for sure. We know that. That's a fact. That last turn was, you know, by itself would have gone up into the excellent range. So what he did before that, we're going to have to wait and see.
Jordy Smith setting the pace with a huge number about to factor in. Let's hear from runner-up of the last heat, Sally Fitzgibbons with Rosie Hodge.
That's right, Sally Fitzgibbons, an incredible contest for you, not only coming second, but also taking the rankings, the world rankings lead for the moment. You're going to be in the yellow jersey in France. That's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, you know, it was a successful event, and I felt really, really strong. It's just such a tough feeling, you know, you come in and, you know, when you're feeling great on your board and the rhythm out there, if you're just not on the good ones, you're just not there. And, you know, I was hearing the really high scores from Steph, and I just wanted one of those, you know, for myself. And, you know, I guess I just have to be happy with the way I progressed through the event. And second place, you know, I'm really happy with that. And but, yeah, you know, you always want to go that one step further. And, you know, I'll be working hard to be in the final in the next event.
Well, you got one up in Steph in Fiji. She obviously got you back here. You know, these girls creating healthy rivalries for you. How do you feel taking the driving, the pole position, going into France, you know, all these girls chasing you?
Yeah, I think, yeah, as I said before, I'm just really comfortable at the position I am at this stage of the season. And, you know, it was a great battle with Steph, and we'll have, we've had many in the past and we'll have many more to come. But, you know, it sets up a great finish in these next 3 events. And, you know, I just feel like if I can just continue to raise my performance level and bring those things from my free surfing into the competitive arena, then, yeah, it'll be a great finish for sure. And hopefully I can hang on to that spot.
Yeah, well, Sally, we look forward to seeing you in France, and congratulations on a great result here. One more thing.
And just all the support back at home. I can, yeah, feel all the cheers over here. So thank you, guys, and yeah, can't wait for Europe.
Back up to you, boys.
Thanks, Rosie. Congrats, Sally, for taking world #1. Jordy Smith throws the tail on the inside section and goes down on that explosive air reverse attempt. Meanwhile, the first score dropped for Smith. He throws down a 9.33 to set the pace in the final.
Well, he's got to do that, doesn't he? I mean, he's seen what John's capable of through this event. Took down Kelly, who's one of the informed guys. John's going to light it up. That's just a fact. It's just a matter of him finding the right waves.
He'll get the roll in for this wave. Florence off the bottom, vertical, tail throw reverse. Perfect positioning and composure for the next section. He's deep now, and he needs some more water. He'll lay low to force it, and now making it out in front. End section reverse, and makes it pay off. Hanging in there through that low road and commits to that throw tail reverse towards the beach. This final is on. Florence bettering a 1.57 there, Potts.
Yeah, by a long way, Joe. You know, we're talking, the desk was talking before, Ross Williams touched on the fact that, you know, John, he's a competitor. This guy wants to win, and this is exactly why. Have a look at this wave here. Starts off with, well, with something that we're used to seeing from John. Just an amazing maneuver there. But this is where it really, this is what impresses me here. Just the ability to get around this section. He stuck with it. You know, he wanted to make it, make this wave count. That one maneuver alone wasn't going to be enough. And this is why he finishes off with a beautiful air reverse there. Nice rotation on that one. It was just that little bit of getting around that white water that really impressed me. Look at the smile on his face. John's having fun out there. He's enjoying his job. And I tell you what, he's answered back to Jordy. A 9.33 for Jordy's opening ride. And it's going to be interesting to see where John's wave fits in on the scale.
Well, both these guys in the same situation. They haven't made a final in the WCT since last year. John's last final was back at the Pipe Masters when he finished runner-up to Kelly Slater. Started off slow, just like Jordy on the Gold Coast. There seemed to be nerves from John. Everything changed once we saw the swell map on Surfline turn purple back in Tahiti, and he came into his own. He's happy again, looking relaxed, and he's surfing insane out at lower Trestles right now. 7.17 for Florence on that last wave.
There we go, you know, 7.17, so he's right in the game right now. Let's have a look at this opening turn. They see him drawing off the bottom. The thing that's really good about John is his timing off the top. I mean, he hit that perfectly and spun it around so quickly. The rotation on that, most guys would have come off the board, but he's got that ability to spin his body at a perfect balance. He's right above his board. And again here, look how quick this board comes around. Once that board lands, the fins grab and just, you know, comes out of that thing really quickly. 7.17, so John's back in the heat needing a 4.94. Jordy, though, he's got that bomb, 9.33. So John is going to need something in that range here very soon.
It's just showing why we stop at lower Trestles every season on the World Championship Tour. You want to see guys like John and Jordy showcase their aerial ability. It almost felt like a forgotten art at the start of the season, where some air guys like Josh Kerr said snapper's actually not the best ramp to do airs heat after heat. The thing is, John's not just repeating airs. He's doing nose pick reverses, big carves that look a lot different than the other carves of the rest of the competitors.
Exactly right, and that's that's what you've got to have these days. You've got to have that ability to look different, to show the judges something different all the time. The ability to be able to take off on a wave and show them different parts of your repertoire. Keeping it fresh. I think it's so crucial here to be in that running for the world title. That whole one-dimensional, one-maneuver surfing's out of the door, and we're seeing guys now that have just got bags of tricks as big as Santa Claus's bag.
Very true, Potts. As we see Brandon Gilmet, part of the Hurley crew, they're all on the side of John Florence. John successful in performing in front of his major sponsor. It was headline news when Hurley inked the deal with Florence. He was the best surfer in the world at the time with barrels, airs, and had qualified for the World Tour. He had a lot going for him. You can kind of compare that to Jordy Smith's bidding war. They've gone through a similar career path, as we now see a glide in for Florence. Looking to better a 2.83. Goes off the bottom, tail high reverse is incomplete. Is this little ramp-up show from Florence going to motivate Jordy to go above the lip, Potts?
Yeah, it's going to motivate Jordy for sure. Jordy knows he's got that one big score, but the thing that I like right now, the crowd's right into it. Everyone's excited, and I'm sure everyone around the world's excited to see this final. I know Jack's sitting on the lounge at home, and he's super excited to watch this as well. But Jordy's 9.33 is giving John that motivation to go big and go hard.
As we now think about surfboards for these two, Jordy Smith and John Florence, they go through a lot of boards every season. They still have plenty of time on the clock in this final. John's been sticking with his shaper, John Peisel, who's on hand. He's got a 6.0, over 18.5, 18.65, 2.25, using the Future fins. He has got signature fins from Futures, along with Jordy Smith. And Jordy signing with Channel Islands recently. His boards have been looking insane throughout this event.
6.1, John's on a 6.0, so both big guys, riding bigger boards. Jordy 19.25 inches wide, and John's 18.25. So, John's not a little kid anymore. He's putting on some muscle. He's getting stronger and bigger. Hence these guys riding bigger boards. I mean, you look at the rest of the field riding sort of 5.8s, 5.9s, 5.10s at the most, and these guys riding boards that are at least 2 or 3 inches bigger.
As we see 21.45 on the clock, a little bit of a lull. Jordy with 9.33 and a 2.77. As we see Alex Florence taking the shades off. She goes to a lot of the venues with John. Every once in a while she'll take one off. Back to this one with Jordy Smith getting started. Just a setup work to start. He'll start looking down the line for something major. Now off the bottom, huge section, just a drift through. Slides off the coping. Now vertical on that foam climb punch, and he's up.
Interesting wave there. Jordy was kind of waiting for something special to happen. And, he's going to better his 2.77. But we see some bigger sets out the back. Was that a priority mistake for Jordy Smith?
And now the whitewater will roll in John Florence. Florence eating a 4.94 before last to Jordy. Speed turn off the bottom. Big hit off the top. Bottom turns again and goes for a layback blowtail. And he's going to pop up in the whitewater. John looking to pull off a miracle. You can see the way he wanted to surf, Potts. He wanted to change up the variety on a challenging section.
It's so exciting watching this kid surf. As soon as he gets a bit of open face in front of him, it's kind of like, what's he going to do? And that's the most exciting part of his surfing. There's no real rhyme or reason to his style. You're looking at someone, on their backhand, okay, they're going to come off the bottom and they're going to tag it, and they're going to come off the bottom, they're going to tag it. With John, it's like, what is he going to do? That's the exciting part. Right here, you can just see him building up speed, drawing down the line. Another transition turn there for him. Really critical surfing, though. And this is where you went, okay, is he going to take to the air? What's he going to do? He goes upside down is what he does, spins the board around, which we didn't see. That was all underneath the water, and then almost pulls that off. So really a Houdini act in the making there for John. No hands, sticks the nose in. He's literally upside down. All you can see is the fins, the leash, spins the board around underneath the water, and there he pops up out the top. So incredible stuff from John. You know, we're not going to see a big score for that, but I'll tell you what, that's close to being something really amazing.
Give the kid a snorkel mask. He was underwater and still had control, as we now see the replay from Jordy Smith.
You know, Jordy needed something there to start off this wave. He needed, start off with a bang, especially against John. I like this turn here, though. Slides the tail and then drags the fins in, but then comes off the bottom, bangs it. It's not really going to factor into the score, you know, his eventual two-wave total. So deciding to kick out of that. So that could have been a really big mistake for Jordy Smith had John capitalized on that next wave.
Well, Jordy likes to show what he can do above the lip as far as progression's concerned. It almost looked like he just started changing gears, wanting to throw down a highlight really. He already has a 9.33. How much time can Jordy run around risking major maneuvers?
Well, eventually he's going to have to lock in a good score. You know, he's going to need something in the 7 to 8 point range, because eventually John, you know, we've seen him throughout this event. In that 30-minute period, he does something amazing. So, and that's going to happen. We can guarantee you on that. And if it doesn't, well, then I'm going to be very surprised. So, you know, Jordy knows that very soon here he's going to have to maybe pull back a bit, finish off a wave like he did on that wave number 1.
So Jordy Smith rinsing off the jitters from Tahiti, where he said he had the worst wipeout of his life and handed an early exit in round 2. Florence right now in the final needs a 5.20 to turn it. His last wave, a 3.9, when he went for a layback underwater reverse, something we've never seen before in a section like that.
Yeah. Well, it's underwater, so how can you see it? You know, it's that's the thing. When you know, he never gives up on a maneuver. That's the crazy thing, and that's why he has these, you know, special things happen for him. Most people would have given up on that maneuver halfway through. He really tries his hardest to make it.
And the family Smith hanging out. Jordy's mom, his wife, his dad hanging out watching the horizon. Growing up in the shaping room, Jordy had a dad that shaped surfboards, G-Force as he's known, behind the scenes. And he's quick to break down what he thinks about Jordy's decision making. Remember the 10 that Jordy got in Jeffreys Bay? He decided to kick out. He didn't need to do anything else to get the perfect score, but his dad still wanted him to finish anyways.
Yeah, well, he kind of fell off at the end, didn't he? Because he was, well, that's about as good as I'm going to get on the wave. Well, he actually could have done a little bit more on that, and that's what G says to him. Dad keeps him in line, let me tell you right now.
And we have a set out the back. That solid southwest groundswell still hanging out with us through these onshore conditions. Gliding in, it will be Jordy. Setting up this wave, looking to better a 3.03. A clean connection off the whitewater into a big bottom turn, blows the tail. He gets hung up on his second move.
Well, you can't be doing that. You've got to finish those off, that's for sure. Jordy there just really tapping off a little bit. You can see him, head went down a little bit. We're seeing a little bit of a negative body language from Jordy right now. Sometimes coming out of the blocks firing with a big score like that, you can kind of get a little bit, you know, a little bit nervous.
So now 16:30 remaining on the clock. We see the next couple of insiders roll through unridden. John sitting out there with priority, breathing a sigh of relief. He only needs a 5.2. And he'll pace himself as we'll check in with the boys on the desk. Todd Klein, Strider Wazalewski.
Yeah, with 16 minutes left on the clock, you know, Jordy Smith out of the gates came out with a massive score, a 9.33, set the tone, but he hasn't been able to back it up yet. Jordy's got a solid score himself of a 7.17. He's right there where he needs to be to get a small score of a 5.20. What's your take on this heat so far, and who do you think is going to take it?
Oh, man. You know, when you come out of the gates like that, 9.33 is a big start, and you got to back it up. Huge to back it up, you know. You got to get something on the board, at least a 5, mid-range score, and then build on that. John, on the other hand, 7.17. He's done a couple maneuvers that have just blown my mind, like really innovative and progressive. So I'm excited to see what the last 15 minutes is going to give us.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, you know, that first score came in really high. I mean, that was a big score to start out a heat. Judges kind of put themselves in a place, you know, where it'd have to recalibrate the whole final. You know, you got a big score to start it out like that, and somebody else goes completely nuts on a wave, which we've seen John do. He's going to have to get a really high score after that.
Well, the good news is nobody's running away with it at this point, so it's going to be exciting probably until the very end. One of the guys that has one of the best seats, always does, at these events is Peter Mel. Pete, you're out there in the water right now. What are you seeing from out the back? Are you seeing nothing but fins and tail when these guys are taking off?
Oh, absolutely, and that's what we want to see, right? I mean, you saw that Jordy had kind of a little bit of nerves on that last one, you know, and he's trying to really push it, which is exactly what we want to see. You know, John had that one connection where he actually projected out of those turns and then that layback snap. I mean, he did everything he could. You could kind of see him scrambling to his board, and then all of a sudden he popped up out of the whitewash, almost pulled it off. I mean, it's amazing stuff what this kid can do on a surfboard. You know, what's going to happen this next 16 minutes? Let's stay tuned, huh?
Peter, conditions looking a lot trickier out there at the moment. Is it harder to find those gems?
Yeah, no, there's just not as many of them, right? I don't think it's hard to find. There's just not that many. You know, it's you know, the decreasing swell. You got the breeze came up like this. So it's just now trying to figure out where they are, and then you know, you just got to hope that they come. It's really what it's all about, really.
We like this water perspective, Pete. Much different from Tahiti when you're in the channel out there. Those
moves, I love it.
Those moves must look incredible. How did Jordy's 933 look for you from the channel?
Oh, I mean, he was pumped, you know, and you could see that he's his first final. You know, he wants a win, right? I mean, he's had a rough year, so you can see both those kids, you know, and I call them kids, but both these kids want this more than anything, and you know, John's not going to give up, doesn't need much, to take the lead.
Pete, what's happened between Jordy's first wave when he comes out the blocks with that positive attitude, and then since then kind of semi-lost it a little bit?
I mean, it's the same read you were saying, Potts. It's something you don't want to see happening to Jordy right now, and I think again what happened was that you know, that wave that basically was 7.17 from John wasn't a very good wave, right? He basically manufactured that thing, and to see that happening, he knows that he needs to pump it up, and he's got a little nerves going here, so he's just got to settle in and you know, get another good score. 933 is a huge score.
Thanks a lot, Pete. We'll check in with you once again as we look at the numbers right here in the final with 13 minutes to go. 933 and a 303 for Jordy Smith. That's why he's leaving the door open for John Florence. Florence had a 717 for skate style performance out front. Needs a 5.2 to get a lead change. Pete mentioning how badly these guys want it. They haven't been in a final this season. They don't get this opportunity to win a WCT every time they put the jersey on, so it's a big moment. It sometimes seems like the pro surfers that finish runner-up event, it stings more than a round 2 loss at times.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you've done all the hard work, you've almost got there, and then you let it slip through your fingers. You just saw Sally. I mean, she was going through the same emotion, you know, just out of rhythm with the waves, and Steph just really took it to town. Jordy up and riding though. Now
trying to create something big, carve, and big tail release. Now he's starting to drive. He'll have to kick out. Just a one motion wave, and he'll look to better the 303 on one turn.
You know, I like what he's doing. Just keep busy. You know, try and dust those nerves off, because since that 9.33, he's looked like a different guy in the water. So he's got to try and find that same mojo, that same headspace he had on that opening wave, and by, you know, how are you going to do that? By just catching waves. You know, just keep getting your feet on the board, building that confidence back up, and then something's going to click. So, you know, right now he's in the box seat. He's got the heat lead. John's needing a score. He's got the best wave of the heat, so he's got to keep that confidence going.
As you can see, our massive crowd here for the Hurley Pro Final. This is lower Trestles. You're looking up towards uppers, and it's standing room right on the water's edge. The parking lot is maxed out, and remember, right in the distance, that will be the award presentation immediately to follow. A beautiful afternoon, as this is the last heat of this event, and we're moving on to stop number 9, the Quicksilver Pro France, where we'll be diving more into that world title talk with world number 1 Gabriel Medina going down earlier on finals day to ace Buchan. That's making things a little bit more exciting heading into Europe.
Yeah, absolutely right. You know, Medina with the 5th place, which, you know, we've been saying is kind of a keeper result. Medina had quite a big lead, but, you know, Kelly kind of reeled him in a little bit, so did Joel. But these guys right here, these are the ones to watch.
John now off the bottom, way back gouge off the top. Sets his pace for a big wrap in the pocket. A perfect start, and so wrap it back again. Florence now looking to seal the deal. Another solid wrapping cutback. And now he'll trim one more time. High rebound. This wave's running out of gas, and he's out of there. Florence only needed a 5.2, and Pat O'Connell loves it.
He can't watch anymore. Look at him. He's down on his haunches, and you see John's starting to fire up. That felt good. And I tell you what, that looked good. That looked great. The judges are going to love that. That's going to be John's best wave so far of the finals. Nice, clean, open face, and just hacked into it like a man possessed. That's what we want to see from John. Jordy, here we go. He's got to answer back. He heard the crowd light up.
Now Jordy Smith looking to answer. Smooth on the face. Huge bottom turn, tail slide cutback, and he loses the opening maneuver.
You know, I've always said Jordy's better when he's got his fins in the water. As soon as he lets that board slide, it's almost like he's allowing himself to make that mistake. Let's have a look at John's wave here. Nice clean face and starts off with a bang. And that was an amazing layback turn there. The technique that this kid's got, look at that zip. He's got so much speed, so much power. He's got the flow, his timing is getting better as this heat is progressing. And why? Because he's been catching a lot of waves. Finally found himself on a beautiful open face wave and went to town. Watch this turn here. Nice clean face. That's what you got to try and find out here. And John just lays right into it. Look at the style. And he's got that weight over his board, and that's what Jordy's not doing. Jordy's throwing his board away from him, whereas John's keeping his board underneath him, keeping that momentum going. And that's what you got to do here at lower Trestles. Right there again. Just turning that body all the way around, setting those fins, and he gives it that extra little kick at the end that no one else has been doing here. So showing a point of difference is John Florence. Jordy Smith, another mistake for him.
One amazing decision. John Florence, back in 2012, made a quarterfinal, and he ended up going down to De Souza that year. He was new to the tour, and he ended up coming back strong and took a first win in Rio de Janeiro over Joel Parkinson in beach break conditions, where he was able to use his tube knowledge to his advantage. Let's see what happened to Jordy, Potts.
You know, I always say he's better when he's got his fins in the water. Right here, he slides the board. You see those fins drifting? That outside rail catches and it just throws him off. So, you know, he needs to get that gouge going. He needs to hold that rail in the water. The board was too flat. He allowed that board to sort of plane out a bit and slide, and what happens in bumpy conditions, you end up grabbing that rail, and that's exactly what happened to Jordy Smith.
Now Jordy letting this one go. John without priority. Double pump, bottom turn, throw tail, reverse off the top. John could do anything he wants on this wave. He'll get back to the pocket as he sets his bottom turn straight up vert, looking to get out in front for a wrapping cutback. Florence now sealing the deal through the inside corner. Big carve. Florence off the bottom, vertical throw tail. He gets stuck on the finish. A big decision for John to spin under priority. And meanwhile, he gets an 8.6 for the wave before and the lead.
Well, shoes on the other foot now. Different kind of pressure that Jordy Smith's got to deal with now. He's got to try and knuckle down and post a 6.44. Is John going to better his 7.17 on that last wave? He didn't finish it off, but he threw everything at it. Jordy Smith would have been... That was nervous moments right there. He lets John go. John goes flying through the air and he hears the crowd. Let's see what happened here as John comes off the bottom. Opening turn as well. Bang, right there. Spins the board around. Just, you see how he gets up the front of the board? Just lets those fins spin around. Very unique style, very unique positioning on the wave is John, and that's what makes him look so exciting. The crowd love watching this kid, and I tell you what, people are going to start hate surfing against him because they're letting waves go and he's posting scores on them. Pity he didn't make that, because that was going to be the difference right there. Let's have a look at this turn. Right there, above the lip again. Jordy would have seen fins and everything out the back of that wave. See how he gets up the front of the board, gets those fins out of the water and spins it around. So beautiful technique. Look how far up the front of the board that John is there. His foot right on the nose of the board, and that's why he waxes that thing all the way up the front.
Well, John Florence, it's official. That's your move. You can have it. The nose pick reverse to start. Nobody does it better here at lower Trestles. He's been using that effectively every single time on his forehand with different variety and flair, according to the section. Impressive after that reverse. He was able to S his way in the flats and create a big finish through the inside road. Well, we know how we are watching. We always like knowing how you're watching. Thanks for hashtagging Hurley Pro. We have Mark Wilco, 75, on a boat watching the tour from the Maldives.
All right.
Nice little surf trip. Hopefully you guys are getting some insane waves. Thanks for joining us here for an amazing stop on tour. And we'll be finishing this one off in 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Back to the action. Jordy Smith needs a game changer here. Carved back into the pocket and now waiting. Deep bottom turn. He has to kick out.
You know, he started that one off well. I like the fact that he's getting those fins in the water, drawing those turns out. Jordy's better when he's got that power behind him. As soon as he lets those fins slide, it's like he's allowing himself to fall off, you know, and it's not good, especially against John. John's trying to improve on a 7.17. 3 scores dropping in right now. It's looking like he's going to improve his situation just a little bit. A 7.3, a 7.2, a 7.3. 2 more judges to lock in a score. Jordy needs right now a 6.44. but after this, he's going to need a little bit more with just under 5 on the clock. There it is, Joe.
Well, such a serious momentum shift. Florence counting his last 2 waves, a 7.27, wave before an 8.6. Priority goes to Jordy Smith as you see the judging panel upstairs. 4:30 on the clock until we have a Hurley Pro champion in 2014. Will it be the first South African to win this event or the first Hawaiian since Andy Irons won back in the day? Sean Ward looking on, part of that Hurley program. It's one of those things these competitors talking about. Sometimes the pressure of competing in front of your sponsor seems like it's giving John a little extra mojo.
Yeah, you know, I think John's coming off an amazing amount of confidence at Chopu. You know, just really almost making the finals. Then I think had he made that final, he probably would have walked away with a win. But you know, he didn't, and he carried that momentum here. Took down Kelly in the semis again. They had a match-up. So John coming into the finals with so much confidence. He's had highlight reels in each of his heats so far today, including yesterday. So you know, Jordy's got to dig deep right now. He's in second spot, but really he's only needing a mid-range score, 6.54. That's an average wave for Jordy Smith.
And he still does have priority. The thing that's keeping Jordy Smith safe is that 9.33 opener. A lot's happened since then. 1s, 2s, and nothing better than a 3.03. A very attainable score. Comparing with John Florence, 1 CT win.
Yep.
Jordy Smith has 3 WCT wins. They both have won in Baja Tijuca. As we look on as Alex is watching her oldest son, John compete.
You know, right now, Jordy's got to quiet whatever's going on between those ears. You know, what's going through his head right now, he needs to just try and eliminate everything that's going through his head, because right now he's starting to doubt himself. He's starting to think, can I really do this? You know, is John going to walk away with a win? Can I hang on? When that next set wave comes through, am I going to fall off again? You know, he's got to forget about all of that. He's got to go back to the beginning of the heat and think about what he did to get that 9.33. You know, competitors really, you know, it's the guy that breaks it down the simplest and doesn't think too much. Once you start thinking too much, that's when you make mistakes.
Jordy Smith ultra hungry to get it closer to the top 10. Felipe Toledo standing by, won the Hurley Pro Innovation Award. We could have to innovate to get a lead change in conditions like this. Jordy takes a look. He'll hold his position. John doesn't want it either. 2:15 to go before we crown a champion. It'll be a new winner this season. Both these guys outside the top 10. What do you think about this wave, Potts?
Well, Jordy's having a look at it, because if he doesn't go, John will. Here we go. This is it.
He'll get the push in with the whitewater. Just needs a 6.54. Carved down to cover some ground here. Late hit off the top of a big section. The whitewater's going to push him out in front. Now he has to do some serious work. Little fade back in the pocket as he's looking to ramp up. Off the bottom, blows the tail. Nice controlled slide all the way around on the next cutback with the fin release. He feels like it's enough. Florence on the next wave as he'll wrap it with a big rebound. Full roundhouse cutback. Softer inside. Now he'll step on the gas. 3 consecutive roundhouse cutbacks into a vertical snap off the top. Layback jam. Multiple majors looking for the punt. Throws the reverse. He'll sit on that one. And he sinks right in front of the crowd.
Well, that's it. It's a minute to go. Both these guys are way too far on the inside to get back out. He's going to come down to that last exchange. Thing is, the question is, did Jordy Smith do enough at the opening section of that wave? He lit it up at the end, Joe. The question is, did he do enough at the beginning? We're going to have a closer look at the replay here. Jordy paddling back out. He's asking the question, do you think I got it? It's in the judges' hands right now. We've seen so many of these heats come down to the wire as Jordy slowly paddles his way back out into the lineup. John's called it a day. 30 seconds remaining. Jordy Smith needing a 6.54. John needing to improve on a 7.27. We didn't see the beginning of John's last ride. Let's have a look at Jordy's though. You can see there a little bit of a mistake on the first turn there. Not quite clean right there. Critical stuff from Jordy Smith. Now, had he got caught behind the section, it was over. But he managed to get around. Coming off the bottom. That was a little bit of a check turn there for Jordy. Racing down the line, building his speed. Bangs it right there. Nice release on the fins. And then slides the tail out on this last turn there. Beautiful rotation. Is that a 6.54, guys?
A huge effort for Jordy Smith. This was John's answer, Potts.
Now John needing to improve on a 7.2. Bang! Well, I didn't see that. So there we go. Something new for John. A little bit of a tail slide reverse for him. Out on the open face. This is where the wave kind of slows down. A series of cutbacks for John. He needs to build up on the inside here. He does go to town on this with some great surfing. Right here, beautiful wraparound cutty. Bangs it through the lips of John. Building points all the way through. He knows he needs to better a 7.27 because Jordy may have bettered a 6.54. That's going to be deemed incomplete at the end of that wave. So, wow, I don't know where to go with those two waves, Joe. I'm going to sit back and watch these scores lock in.
A big back-to-back exchange there, back and forth. Jordy Smith with priority, looking for the big score. We already have Pete Mel with Jordy Smith. Pete, how's Jordy feeling?
Yeah, well, we're trying to contemplate, really. I mean, we're trying to dissect it. He's like, what I get, you know? So you needed a 6.48 if he didn't better.
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure.
6.54, Pete.
6.54. And you felt like you had it on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I did enough to get a 6.5 but
Pete, he lit it up at the
9.3. That was the curse. That was a 9.3 curse.
And that's how it is. I mean, the conditions, they were tough, but he stepped up. I mean, it's nice to start with that 9.
No, it's awesome. I just really hope that I get the score. I don't even know what to think now because it's pretty weird. I'm like, gosh, did I get it? I think I did, but are they going to give it to me?
We'll find out momentarily. You know, but I mean, John had a lot of momentum going there, and you know, you saw it. Okay, so here we go. We're just hearing it.
All right, Pete.
Yes.
First judge, 7.8, 6.8, 6.8, 7.
6.8. If John didn't better.
717. 717.
And Jordy gets the score.
Wow.
A 717, a 933.
Oh my God!
Your first win of the year. Your first win of the year. Hey, how funny is this? I mean, we're sitting in the water, we're all piling around him. He just won! I mean, hey, after the year has been, like, what does this mean to you right now?
Oh my gosh, like the best thing ever. I just moved to town.
Is this your home now forever?
This is pretty much, yeah. This is like, I'm like, babe, you might have to sleep beside the trophy tonight. But, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. Like, dude, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Do you like that? Well, if so, subscribe over there and then watch more videos over there. And then tell us your favorite videos down there. It's a 3-step process. Do them all now.